its soul. And the goal is to attain the spiritual kingdom, the service of the Lord, literally being in the service of the Lord. So that is the goal actually. So that is the goal. So you can see that the principle is this. So with this principle, one can practice this manifesta state also. So we see in our ISKCON society also there are many exalted, nice Vaishnavas, which are in the category of kind of manifesta. So we see them how they live very simple life and very dedicated to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So indeed, I think Jivanand Prabhu. Did he visit Pune? Jivanand Prabhu? He visited Pune. So he is also manifesta. Correct?
Who?
Jivanand Prabhu. Yeah. He stays somewhere in US somewhere. So many actually. Sankarshan Das Adhikari Prabhu. There is another very His Grace Sankarshan Das Adhikari Prabhu. He is also there. So there are many like that. So those there is Kratu Prabhu. Kratu Prabhu is also there. Many actually. So you can see how they are completely dedicated. Both Prabhu and Mata. This is fully. Yeah, Prabhu and Mataji. So you can see how they are simply that life is just for the service of Guru and Krishna. So in principally they are following that. There is no other agenda than just serving Krishna and Prabhupada and Guru. That's all. So this is essentially the essence, in a sense, what Manipasta state is talking about. That means in Manipasta state there is no even as a Grihastha one may have many duties, like different kinds of social ceremonies one may have to attend or get son and daughter, give them all kinds of facilities, so earn money and then raise them, get them married, and there's so many responsibilities Grihastha has to perform. Whereas Manipasta stage, because those things are already completed, so one can just simply focus on the Supreme Lord. So there is no more further paying any much attention to body, but maybe more attention, more energy, having a spiritual development. This is how the Manipasta stage is. So in a sense, that's the whole program, as we were discussing the other day also. The whole program of Krishna consciousness is Vairagya Vidya. We want to become detached from this material world and go back to God. That's the whole purpose of this Varnashrama. So actually the sun gratification makes our life very complicated, and that's the whole problem. The sun gratification is the whole disease this conditioned soul has. And when we continue with that, then we continue to remain in the cycle of birth and death. So this is a disease of the conditioned soul. Prabhupada very nicely writes in Bhagavad Gita 17th chapter. I will just read that. It's very amazing because one should take a look. Yeah, so it is 17.16. This verse, Prabhupada says, Mana Prasada Samartham, Vanam Atmavigraha. Bhava Samsudhir iti etat tapo manasam uchyate. Prabhupada is saying here in this verse that so many times he says that how mind should be detached from some gratification. So I will read that. The transition is unsatisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerity of the mind. And Prabhupada says, to make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. That means not thinking selfishly, because the nature of self gratification is that we are selfish. We are oriented towards gratifying our own mind and senses. This is what one is thinking about. One is thinking about one's own comfort and gratification. So it should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. So the whole, again, Prabhupada says one should not deviate from Krishna consciousness, must always avoid sense gratification. Then he says, to purify one's nature to become Krishna conscious, satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. Again he says, taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment is how we actually purify one's nature. And that's how we can get satisfaction. That the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thought of sense enjoyment. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways for some gratification. And so there is no possibility of the mind becoming satisfied. That's why everybody is so restless in this world, you see. As kids, we find so restless kids. When you go for value education classes or you go to the distribution for Gita contest, my God, the kind of kids nowadays, restlessness and the naughtiness. Like, I remember as a kid, in the school, and when I see them, I went to my school, Kendra Vidyalaya, after I became Krishna, I was introduced to Krishna consciousness, and then for distributing this, to distribute Bhagavad Gita and give a lecture on that education. When I went there, my God, the kids, the way they were mischievous, I was shocked at how they are behaving like this. It was not that bad, when we were there. So what I was understanding that how the restlessness and naughtiness of the kids are increasing. And the reason is, as Prabhupada is saying here, now they are so much exposed to social media and WhatsApp and or Facebook and internet. Right from childhood they are getting into all that. And so that's why the more the people are trained to listen gratifier, the more they are bound to become very dissatisfied, restless, mischievous. That's what happens. That's what he's saying. The more we think of such environment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. And same thing with youth also. The more they are exposed to some gratification, the more they will become very uncontrolled and very much disoriented, dissatisfied, depressed, all that will happen. The more mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present day, we understand the mind in so many different ways for some gratification, and there is no possibility of the mind becoming satisfied. So nobody is satisfied, everybody is restless. So in the present age, we understand it, okay, then. They say the best course is to divert the mind to a Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories of Puranas and Mahabharata. This is one solution for our kids. So he says that diverting the mind. So this is a very nice word, divert. So yes, mind has a nature to think about something. Mind has a nature to contemplate something. Mind has a nature to have some feelings. So thinking, feeling, willingness, this is all the nature of mind. We cannot change the nature of mind. That's the nature of mind. But what can happen is we can divert the mind towards this auspicious subject matter, where it can think and feel and have willingness in terms of the scriptures, whatever the scriptures like Puranas and Mahabharata and Gita and Bhagavatam is all mentioned here. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. Like when you're reading 8th canto, where there's so much of description about fight between demigods and demons are described. But after Samadhi Leela, the nectar came, but Mantri and Muni incarnation happened, and then how Muni cheated the demons and gave the nectar to demigods. So the demons are very, very much silent in presence of Muni because they are captivated and bewildered by Muni the Supreme Lord himself. They did not protest that time. They simply had become completely bewildered. But when they realized, when Muni again took the form of the Lord and went back riding on the Karuna, then the demons understood what happened to them. And they became like, oh my God, what happened? And then they became so angry. And then Bali Maharaj and all the demons, they attacked the demigods. And there the description, so much description is given about fighting. Who fought with whom, how the weapon was missed, the weapon was lifted, and how it was counteracted. So much in detail, so many verses. So I was thinking, how so many verses are given in Bhagavatam. And Darshik Maharaj is hearing, and he has very less time. He could have, so there could just skip it, just skip it. And we may also want to skip it. Cut, okay, so much description is there. So I was thinking why it is. We understand why so much description is there, because all our that tendency, like nowadays people, they watch these action movies and their stunts, and they remember, they have those impressions. They remember all these stunts, like there is Rajinikanth in South India. So he has some kind of stunts. So after that, so many people keep doing their stunts. So actually, by just getting absorbed in such kind of mortal, illusory, agents of Maya, just getting absorbed, actually it does not give us any benefit. Rather, we become purified. It leads to more bondage. They have made a temple of the Deva in South India. So instead of that, if we actually apply our mind in hearing these descriptions, so all our tendency to hear all this action, to watch this action movies and all that, we get satisfied just by nicely hearing and paying attention to these details of how the fighting happened. Very nicely it is described. One can feel so satisfied and one gets purified also. Because it is all around Krishna. It's all around Krishna. Because Lord, Supreme Lord came there and he disappeared and then demons and humans are fighting. So it's all related to the Lord. Just in the pages of Bhagavatam. By reading them, one can become purified like that. So much discussion is there. Wherever the Lord appears, there's so much description about the Lord, how the Lord has appeared, and what he is wearing, what color of dhoti he has, in which, because every time Lord doesn't have the same way he appears. Sometimes he may appear, like sitting on the Garuda, sometimes he may not be sitting on the Garuda, he is simply standing, and in different hands he may hold different things. It's not that all the time he handing he may be handing, he may not be holding, or he may be holding some of them. So all that, and sometimes different arms also are there. So Lord appears in different ways, and so the description is there when the Lord appears. Why? Because again, we can be absorbed. Because people are so much trying to get absorbed in illusory forms. So many illusory forms are there in this. So especially very people are just trying to so much get absorbed in the illusory form of the opposite sex. And that's how they remain always dissatisfied and they're always restless. But when they actually absorb their mind, in hearing this wonderful description about the Lord, the mind can become so purified and so satisfied actually. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. The mind should avoid duplicity and one should think of the welfare of all. He says silence, so again he says, one should think of welfare of all again. So silence means that one is always thinking of self-realization. The person Krishna consciousness offers perfect silence in this sense. Control of the mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment. Again he says. But again, one should detach the mind from sense enjoyment. One should be straightforward in his dealings and thereby purify his existence. All these qualities together constitute austerity in mental activities. The whole purport is focused upon how one should detach oneself from gratification, take mind away from gratification, and divert the mind towards Krishna. Engage the mind in Krishna. So, Tani Sarvani Samyamya, Yukta Asita Matpara. So, we have to detach the mind from gratification and engage the mind in Krishna's service. This is the whole substance of Krishna consciousness actually. So, I was reading a lecture of my spiritual master. He was saying that actually the problem is not sense objects. Sense object is not the real problem actually. So, he was saying when a living entity comes in contact with the sense object, then it triggers that what contamination is already there in the heart. So there is desire for some gratification. So this inauspicious desires are there in the heart. So those desires, they get triggered when some sense object comes in front like that. So you are saying that problem is not sense object, problem is that desire. That is some gratification desire. That's the problem. So then you are saying that he gives an example of Pradhana Saraswati. He says Vishnu Purusakaya. And he also says that the senses, when they are purified, so it is like the poisonous fangs are broken of the serpent. So they become completely harmless. So same with those who are very much engaged in Krishna's service, they have become completely Krishna conscious. So because they get completely freed from any kind of some gratificating desires. So then, even if there are so many varieties of sense objects in this material world, but they don't get affected and they are not having this situation like become dissatisfied and completely depressed or suffering. It doesn't happen. In fact, they are happy. Why they are happy? Because they are constantly engaging in the service of the Lord. So for them, in one sense object does not have any difference. I mean, it does not give any difference to them. Rather, they see everything as an object of service to Krishna. No? They see everything as an object of service to Krishna. Like Srila Prabhupada, when he came to West, everyone knows that the America is a place of sun gratification. It's a bhumi. Everybody is engaged in sun gratification. And there are so many objects of sun gratification everywhere, all throughout. And I mean, it is there not only in America, everywhere, but in America it is like the celebrated sense objects. America is known for that. Okay? Even if you see the gadgets also, the American gadgets are considered to be okay, they're nice. Okay. So Prabhupada came here, so Prabhupada was not seeing in that vision. Prabhupada was only seeing the vision in the vision of service to Krishna. So he utilized, everything and everyone in service to the Lord. And Prabhupada was completely static. Prabhupada was completely static. He made those dissatisfied, restless, suffering Americans into very satisfied, happy, prosperous, filled with such kind of great enthusiasm that even they became electrified, or they became such charged with that enthusiasm that they were actually doing the same what following the fruits of Srila Prabhupada. They expanded the whole movement of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. So this is how a pure devotee acts, or for him this material world simply becomes a paraphernalia of service actually. Because he gets freed from the desire of some gratification. Then there is no problem of sense objects for them. So that's a purified stage. But we may be not in that purified stage, we are like studying Sarika. So we are still trying to purify the inauspicious desires of our heart. So for us, so Maharaj was saying very nicely, he said that so we have to make an attempt to purify those desires, because that's a problem. Because of that, so when we come into sense objects, it gets triggered and then we go for it, and that's how we keep getting bound and bound. Unending, where we just keep getting bound in this material world. So they are saying that actually what is the way out? What is the way out? So the way out is when you receive the mercy of the Lord. One has to receive the mercy of the Lord so that one can purify the heart. And so that's required. That's why he said that human form of life is meant for purification of our heart. Awakening our love for Krishna, and of course both goes simultaneously. So as we purify our heart, awaken our love for Krishna, that's how we become healthy. That's how we become in our actual constitutional position. So saying by when we see the mercy of the Lord, then we can actually have that purification of our heart. But how to receive the mercy of the Lord? So he was mentioning that the way to receive the mercy of the Lord is to engage in the process of devotional service. Take the shelter of the process of devotional service. So when we nicely engage in the process of devotional service, then Lord is pleased. Lord becomes very pleased. And then Lord in our heart purifies our inauspicious things like that. Srimata Srimata Krishna, Purishama Kirtana, Hridayantasto Yavadrani, Vidhanmati Sridhasana. So Lord purifies our heart from all those inauspicious desires like that. And he was saying very nice, he said that when we are hearing like that, or when we are engaging in devotional service like that, so we are very honestly and earnestly, very sincerely we are engaging in the process of devotional service, with an intention to get purified and to be engaged in the service of the Lord. So Maharaj, I was thinking at how he was putting this kind of what should be one's orientation when engaging in devotional service? Also, very nicely explained that honestly and sincerely. That's why it is Shirvatam Shadhaya Nityas, Granthas Shachishita, Karyana Devigana Bhagavan Shadhaya. So there also so there also earnestness is mentioned there. How one should earnestly engage in the process of devotional service. That is also very important. So Prabhupada writes in one purport that this kind of mechanical way of hearing and chanting may not help much. It will help surely, because any kind of touch with devotional service, any practice devotional service will have surely impact. But we want to improve the quality. So Prabhupada says that one should not get just into the mechanical way of just hearing and chanting. So it's very important that we also have this earnestness. Sorry, I was trying to mention about honesty, honestly, sincerely trying to engage and take shelter of the Lord while performing our devotional service like that. So how can we get that kind of earnestness actually? So again, that also will come by hearing only, by association only. The more we associate and hear, they say, somewhere we have to desire, somewhere we have to begin to have that earnestness. So that's how they say, Tatra Valyam, Ekara Mulyam, like that. So when we engage in this hearing process, and as we associate with great Vaishnavas, sincerely with open heart, then by that kind of association one can realize one's disease state. One can realize his diseased situation. Like Chanakya says that fire, death, and health, sickness, disease, these three things should be immediately addressed. There was like one moment I remember there once you got caught fire in Uttari. So everybody started shouting because immediately has to be addressed. We cannot wait till Mangalarti ends. We cannot do that. Because if that fire gets ablaze, then it's a problem, right? For the devotee and for the deity, everyone. So fire has to be immediately addressed. Same way, death also. Because if death is not addressed, it will increase. And same thing with disease. Disease also will be immediately addressed. So I was thinking that so we also have we also have a disease state. We are also diseased because we are also an ignorance and in the disease of material existence. And we are just got with this bhava. Bhava means the disease of getting bhava means to happen. What happens? Birth, old age, disease and death. Birth, old age, disease and death. Birth, old age, disease and death. This is a bhava. Road, disease, without disease. We are not supposed to get into the cycle of birth and death. But our disease state is that we are into it. That's a disease. So when we are in that disease state, so when we are sick, then our first practice is to get cured. Yesterday I was calling to a devotee, Mohit Prabhu. So he was going to his home in afternoon. I was thinking, Prabhu, you're going to sorry. He said, Prabhu, I'm just getting headache. I just can't do anything. I have to just go and take rest. I have to recover myself first. And even the office people will relieve that fellow. I've seen that if they have high figure and no matter how important it is, everybody understands what he needs. Correct? They will say, no, next maybe you can, no worry, we will manage. Like that. So if the disease is there, everybody agrees. Even when you have to take a leave, which you cannot get ordinarily, but if you somehow get sick leave, you can show that you are sick. Nowadays they want to show. But actually if you are sick, people understand it. It has to be immediately has to be addressed. So same way, when we are in disease state, it has to be immediately addressed. That we cannot take like, okay, I can later, tomorrow I will do, later I will do. We cannot postpone that. We have to take it, seriously. So that's why earnestly, sincerely, with a sense of urgency one should take. Like that. Because then the quality of our engagement in devotional service gets enhanced with a sense of urgency, with a sense of earnestness. Because I am diseased, I am suffering in this particular, and the greatest suffering is that I have been away from Krishna. Like Prabhupada says that child is suffering because of not having mother. As soon as the child comes in front of the mother and has the breast milk of the mother, immediately child is satisfied. So we are also suffering in this world. So this we realize. As we realize this, as we understand this, so then we can actually take more sincere shelter. Another example is given of samsara dava nirvaloka. We are already saying. Fire also was saying, the fire. The fire is there, immediately want to address. So we are also burning in this total existence. So okay, tomorrow I will extinguish my fire. I am burning a bottle. Tomorrow I will. We don't do that. If you are burning, I want to immediately address it. Correct, no? So if I am burning in this fire of material existence, and when there is some mercy of Guru coming in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam class, in the form of the holy name, in the form of some services, how one will take so seriously? How earnestly we will take it? Somehow we don't realize and we go on mechanically sometimes. So how to break that? This is how we can understand this. Yeah, I'm burning this fire of material. It's my saving grace. By Guru's mercy, I am getting this service. By Guru's mercy, I am getting to chant the name of the Lord. By Guru's mercy, I am getting to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. By Guru's mercy, I am getting to read Srimad Bhagavatam. When Guru Matsya I am getting the association of some wonderful devotees. So this is saving grace actually. How seriously we will take it. Correct, no? And about that, I was thinking that how we are actually on, we are so much, having, I don't know about that directly, but I was thinking that how we are so much having reactions of so many activities. It's all like truckload of baggage of karma is there. Simple reactions are there. So we think, and Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Pritya Mahamekam Sharana. Ham Tvam Sarva Papi. So I will get rid of all your, the reactions. And even this is also mentioned that, what is the verse? Where it says that all the debts are paid if you take shelter of the Lord. What is the verse? Devashi Bhutatma Ninapritana. Na Kinkaro Rajan Nirisharan.
Yeah.
Sarvatmanama Sharam Sharanya Tamo Mukunda Parinatya Kartam. So if you take shelter of the Lord, all debts are, you are relieved from all the debts also. Correct, no? So if you have all these debts, and we have so much of karmic bondage, karmic luggage and baggage. So, this is the first priority. We should just take shelter of the Lord. Because otherwise, like it is, the kind of destination, the kind of, the future in this material world what we have is very costly. We cannot afford to take chance. We have to take shelter of the Lord now. Now. If you suppose you don't take shelter of the Lord, careless devotional service, we will lose the opportunity. And this baggage, this reactions, that will take us to so many lives. So why should we wait for that? Should we address it immediately? So I was saying that that kind of mood of earnestness can be brought up with this. So I was trying to understand this. So let's pause here. I'm already over 5 minutes over time. Pause. Does anybody have any reflection or share? Yes.
That kind of anaprast is okay if in India like thousands of years ago, but nobody can do that now, and we don't have to do it. If you do, our vanaprasthas in ISKCON, they preach.
Yeah.
And if you preach, you're going to face, there's going to be plenty of austerity.
Correct.
You're not going to be lacking any austerity.
Yeah. There's another thing that I was also thinking that when we engage in devotion service, so it will come at the cost of, making sacrifices, some austerity will be there. Like just staying in association devotees is austerity. May not be externally so much, but there are a lot of ego clash, differences. So we still together because we want to serve Prabhupada together. It's austerity, because we come from different natures like that. So it's austerity. Same as chanting Hare Krishna is austerity, but mind does not like it. Like yesterday one devotee told me, Prabhu, I cannot chant now. If you say to me, I will chant one round maybe, that's all. But before he was being chanting, he said, now I cannot. So austerity, it's not easy. So chanting Hare Krishna or doing service, austerity. And preaching, like we said, preaching, when you go out for preaching, if you have some project or some service to Guru, to be like Prabhupada came as a preaching mission. Prabhupada might not be doing austerity the way the tea bark or the grains, that kind of things are mentioned, but the Prabhupada austerity is just see. Because he came in the order of so what kind of austerities he had to take. So it's all based on service to Guru and Krishna, preaching the mission of Sri Chaitanya. So yeah, if you embrace that preaching mission and engaging ourselves in Krishna consciousness, so then we may have to make those sacrifices. And those austerities in essence is what is we are supposed to follow. With that intention. When those austerities come up, we do it. Because it is meant for service to Guru and Krishna, so yes, the inconveniences we take it. Then we are actually following what here the descriptions are told. Even though literally we may not follow. But in spirit we are following that. Thank you. Any other reflection? Yes. May not be always. you may eat nice prasadam and you may not have free bath, you may actually have a nice jacket and you may receive good books. But it's austerity because when you're out in cold, and your hands are melting, it's not easy. But still you are staying there and trying to receive good books. Or even you may not sometimes open, you may go in somewhere and receive good books.
So is it like the equivalent to the which is an equivalent to the result?
Equivalent to?
The result of the austerity?
Yes, equivalent, yes, correct. Because it is meant for the pleasure of the Lord. There is a goal of austerity. There is a verse also, no? That what that verse? It says, what is the use of austerity if you are remembering the Lord? What is the use of austerity, doing austerity and not remembering the Lord? If you are seeing the Lord within, what is the use of austerity? If you are not seeing the Lord within and you are doing austerity, what is the use of it? Antar bahiri hari tapasa katake. Na antar bahiri hari tapasa katake. That's what it says. So the goal of austerity is not just to do austerity and just show the world I am being very austere. So austerity itself, it's actually what is the meaning of austerity? Temporary inconvenience for permanent gain, Prabhupada told. So what is that permanent gain? It's basically serving the Lord, serving the Guru. That's all for permanent benefit. So for that, whatever inconveniences may come, devotee is ready to take that, no harm. So that's the spirit of austerity. You got what is favorable for executing the service to of my Guru. We take all those hardships. That's the real austerity. We don't have to pick the hardships on just the letters of the intentions that we may not have. We should know the spirit and we can pick up that. Okay, so let us pause here. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Hare Bol.
You want to say something?
Nice. Especially about the mind. Mind is giving so much object. You told me this Maharaj, okay, problem is not the object.